And we are live.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 9 of the podcast Unlimited Wisdom with Robert Hollis. I'm Craig A. Jackman, along with Matt Hollis, and we are so glad to have you with us today. Our topic of the day is hidden wisdom behind
Craig,
success.
you forgot to shut everything off.
I did?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
Could have been on my
Well,
side.
Robert, shut off the other screens. Okay, I did it. Go ahead.
all right, I guess we're getting started. Matt, Robert, welcome to episode 9 of the podcast Unlimited Wisdom. Gentlemen, how are you?
Doing great. Doing great. How are you?
Fantabulous. Thank you.
I wanted to show right away how you don't have to be smart to make money. I just needed to prove it. People are worried about making mistakes. I'm just worried about freedom and making an impact. So
There you go.
I'd rather focus on those things.
Well, that's part of the topic for the day, right? I mean, because there is a hidden wisdom to being successful, and part of that is knowing that you're going to be free to do what you want.
Yeah,
Right.
and I don't know too many people that don't mess up all the time. So if you mess up, they might think you're human. So I got
Oh,
over
God forbid.
I got over
I
that years ago, man.
yeah, I just accept it. I think that there's a large part of it that's just like if you just roll with it. Like if you're live doing something like we are right now and you just roll with it, no one cares. Like
Yeah.
it and I agree it makes you human because we are human, are we? This could be just AI that we're airing to you guys right now.
What do you
But
think
no.
we
that
are?
might
What
be
makes
one
you
of the
think we are not human?
that
Thank
might
you,
be part
Dave.
that
We
might be
appreciate
part of
your
hidden
answer,
wisdom.
Dave.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sorry.
It's hidden. Thank you so much, Corky, for the donation.
Oh my God. Already donators. I love you, Corky. You're amazing.
And if you do want to donate, there's that $ button in the chat on YouTube right at the bottom. And all the donations go to the charities that Robert supports. So, Santa Corky, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So, guys,
Um,
does anyone want, Dad, do you want to share some hidden
sure.
wisdom with us first? And then we'll kind of go down the line.
Yeah, one of the things I would say is hidden wisdom behind success is very simple. Is there was a time in my life, and I think in yours, that we didn't know that we didn't know. This whole concept of ignorance being, I just don't know that I don't know. And so one of my biggest keys to success is I'd rather learn from other people's mistakes than my own. I just, if there's one thing that I would tell everyone, people look at me as a genius and how much money I make and how much of an impact to orphans and other people that I've made. But they don't understand that all I did is find mentors that already did it and just did what they did. And what really makes me unique is one of my biggest hidden thing is I'm addicted to learning. So when you're addicted to learning, I know things that I learned from other mentors in the past that worked in the past. And I know things that I learned from mentors today that work right now and the present are going into the future. And it was funny. I'll do a quick shout out. Me and Anil Ramtreater and Callie was going back and forth on Telegram. And, you know, he's all excited because he's really putting himself into this and he's going to make a huge impact like he always does. And one of the things is he immediately, like most people, revert back to what you know. And I remember, Matt, you and I paid a lot of money to hire Alex Jeffries and Brendan Burchard and Russell Brunson and Frank Kern and all these guys. And I remember the day that I heard what I said to Anil today. He goes, "You got 8 seconds, Matt and Robert. You guys got 8 seconds to grab someone's attention." And I'm like, okay. And he goes, "I need to tell you something." We went, "What?" And he goes, "People don't care who you are. They don't care what you've done. They don't care what you got. No one cares. They're logging on and going, how is this going to improve my life? What can I learn to better my life?" And if you don't get to that point, so I used to do YouTube videos and I'd start out, Hey, everybody, my name is Robert Hollis, blah, 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 gone. Boom. It's like, I don't need to hear this. I was born in 1962, but in a poor white family. It's like, I sound like I'm the jerk. Wait a minute. I am. And so there used to be a time when a 3 or 4 minute introduction was appropriate. When would that be appropriate? In a live setting. A lot of people sitting in an audience. And if you don't know who Kevin Hart is, maybe it would be pretty cool for a guy to come out and do what they do nowadays, which is, hello, everybody. Hey, no introduction needed whatsoever. Kevin Hart. It's what we were taught in the past was, hi, everybody. My name is Robert Hollis. Put your phones away. Make sure they're muted. Craig, master at this presentation. You know what I mean? And so he would get pay attention, lotta. And then, hey, get your pen and paper, and now we're going to introduce Robert Hollis. But since we went online, he just says, hey, everybody, Robert Hollis.
Pretty much. It's adapted over the last couple of years. No question.
Right. And so my deal is now, if we have 8 seconds, Matt created capture pages that, had 70, 80% conversion rate because we listened to other people that were making millions of dollars a year. And they would tell me and Matt, listen, when they see a capture page, they got 8 seconds of whether or not they're going to put their name and email in, or they're just going to hit the X in the corner and leave. And Matt, remember this when they told us this? They went, if you put anything else on that page, people are going to click on it and leave your page and disappear.
Yeah, no, that is the way that it is like a large amount of it. Like even when you're trying to make something artistic, like say a visual thing, like a painting, let's use a painting as an example. If you're trying to make a painting, you are drawing someone's eyes in the composition to a specific spot that you want to. And some painters will even step back far away from their paintings and look at them to see, where do my eyes go? Like, where am I drawn to? So in advertising and these types of things, obviously this is a huge element to it. Where am I drawing your eyes? So the more shit that's going on, the less, and this is one of the reasons why in some ways, influencer marketing has taken off, right? Because people now more care about you sharing what's valuable to you than they do the advertisement of it anymore. So hold on. I'm going back to it. I didn't have you on full screen. But no, the like advertisements before would be like, where am I drawing their eyes? Where am I drawing their eyes? And I feel like even now we're starting to see people adapt to that in advertising. And now it's more like who advocates for this, right? Whose stamp of approval does this product or this service have? And do I respect that person?
And it can only take one little advertiser to do that. And we see that. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but just to piggyback, Matt, on what you were saying is look at the YouTube title slides, the thumbnails that people have been coming out with. What's going to attract the attention of those?
Yeah, we could title every podcast.
How busy is it?
This is the end of the world, and we know when it is. We'll just do that every single podcast until it happens.
Maybe you can sing the song too. It's the end of the world, and know it.
Yeah, we'll have to get licensing, but yeah, we'll get it. Yeah.
And we all know that again, things that work today are uniquely different, and they keep changing. The one thing that is another thing that I think is incredible wisdom, we could talk forever, is again, when you rely on other people that have evidence, a lot of people will miss this. When you find people that have evidence of helping other people win, whatever that win is for them, freedom, leave their job, be able to travel, whatever it is, But when you find people that, one of the people that I recently have been learning from, Craig and I, and Matt, from Evan, Carmichael, is, I mean, when I first seen his video, the very first thing that he showed is, oh, I helped this person get to here. I helped this person get to here. I helped this person get to here. And you have confidence when he was showing the YouTube channels that you could pause the video, go put their username and YouTube, and you've seen, wow, that's not a bullshit made up story. That's a real person. You know what I mean? And, if you watch some of our videos, we're very blessed. And one of our super chatters on here is, Corky Santa, you know what I mean? That has over 2 million followers now on TikTok. And he's made over 6 figures, doing TikTok videos. And unfortunately, we found out that Senate approved yesterday that now TikTok has a year to either sell itself or be banned. And so, it's unfortunately when things like that happen. But I have no doubt that Corky Santa can do it again, because we're all going to help him.
I honestly know for a fact that as he builds his YouTube up, that his following will be even bigger than TikTok, without a shadow of a doubt, because I know what he's doing will work so well on YouTube as well. It's just a mixture of different types of content because it's just different. But then at the same time, I think with the banning of TikTok, there's going to be a large amount of people that move over to YouTube Shorts and doing live YouTube Shorts, because now you can, or not live YouTube Shorts, but you can now do vertical live streams on YouTube that show up in the Shorts. So if you've been on TikTok, when you scroll through people's videos, eventually you'll land on someone that's live, right? They're live at that moment.
Right.
YouTube's going to work the same way. I believe it might already work this way now, but now you can do vertical live streams, and you can actually set up something like OBS to do both, right? You could do a full video live stream and a vertical one. I've seen a lot of creators doing this. Maybe something we should think about. So then this podcast would show up in the verticals and on the channel, right?
Well, Matt, just what you said, these are hidden wisdoms behind success. So you bringing it up, why wouldn't I listen to you? So yeah, we're doing that. We're doing that.
You're like, we're doing that. Get on it right away, Matt.
What's taking you so
long? I
long?
was doing that. I don't know. Why am I slacking again?
Yeah. Oh my God. There's just
for sure.
There's so many opportunities in the world right now. And the live video that I did today, sorry, you guys, I get to apologize to public. We had made a decision to just do this podcast at 1 o'clock or noon Pacific, 3 Eastern. I forgot about it. So I got excited and promoted a live. So, look for the podcast an hour earlier next week, and we'll have it all hooked up on IBO or whatever.
I was telling Craig, I'm like, well, we're going to have everything scheduled out, especially when I come out there, because I'm going to be visiting my parents. So we're leaving on the 30th, and we'll be out there for a couple of weeks. So look forward to seeing
how damn excited as I am.
I'm bringing all the camera stuff. We're going to shoot some fun shit, man. It's summer, it's spring. There's so many beautiful places, like within driving distance in Montana.
71 right now.
I know. Yeah. I could just think of the quality stuff that we'll make for you guys.
And no rain.
We'll get that Starlink satellite, and we'll stream right from Yellowstone or something.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Come on, you guys got a lot of wisdom. What,
Craig, do you want to go into some of your
things
wisdom
that you guys know that are hidden?
Oh my gosh, I think it's just, I mean, a lot of the things that I've learned, especially over the last few years, Robert, have been because of following you, and then some of the acting mentors that I have as well, but mostly you, because what you share with us actually kind of crosses over in so many ways.
Oh yeah.
But it like, for example, just getting out there and doing it. I think that is such a big deal that a lot of people do not teach, do or do not. There is no try. Thank you, Master Yoda.
Hey, when you're talking about opportunities, I really just think that you just need to realize that you're open to doing something different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I seen today they were showing Star Wars, and there's a company out there right now that will pay you $1,000 if you've never watched Star Wars. And people are going like, "Damn it!" All right, but, but if you watch all 9 episodes, they'll give you $1,000. And I'm like, I'm sure some people love the hidden wisdom and they're right now Googling and finding out where they can say, oh, they don't know that I haven't watched it. So it's like,
Well,
Ah,
it's funny
and you
because
gotta
like
probably have proof that you're gonna watch all 9 episodes too, so that they
yeah.
can make sure they're getting paid. Yes.
right.
Yeah, no,
But
I was sharing with a couple of people like there's jobs you can get right now that pay $20+ an hour that are work from home jobs, basically saying, is this good or not? And it's an AI training thing. So basically what you're
Wow.
doing is you're sitting in your chair and you're picking these tasks, and then it'll show pictures and it's like, or it'll be text and it'll say, does this look real or this or that? And all you're doing is teaching the AI what is and isn't. That's the job, and they're paying people really well for it.
how
So,
funny, because
and you just work from home.
I just
Yeah.
saw a video today of I think it was a YouTube short where some guy is looks like he's barbecuing on the top of a plane's turbine engine, and I went, "Oh, this is interesting." And you could see the difference. I mean, you could see it was superimposed, and
Hmm.
either AI or somebody who's really good with like Premiere Pro or something like that. But
Soon,
I
Premiere Pro will be AI.
Yeah.
yeah, that with the Sora edition, yes,
Which,
Yeah.
by the
So, so,
way,
so,
I'm
so
like
someone made
on.
the wrong
Yeah.
prompts, right? What they
Yeah.
said is, I want a guy uh, doing turbine cooking. And they're like, AI goes, hey, this is what I think that looks like.
Yeah. Exactly.
as opposed to turning the turbine straight up and down, and the guy's
Uh,
cooking over it, and you see this half his face go off.
yeah.
Yeah, but
No.
that's
Cooking time, you in the meat in less than a second.
Yeah. You can't enjoy it. But
great video though, one time
right.
only.
Yeah. And then the government would come after you and say, we need a warning on that. You need to put a warning that,
Yeah.
The following events are not real, or
You're like, yeah.
or
You're.
well, what was it when Fast and Furious came out? Because of all of the stunt driving, they had to actually come out with a warning prior to the movie and at the end of the movie saying that, this is all done in under controlled circumstances, do not attempt. And even more so, you see some of the other things that are out there that are exactly the same way. Because why? Because some I,
naive,
person
naive or ignorant.
or idiot did that.
And we've
Yeah.
seen videos of that too. That guy that went off like that, like straight down road, like in San Francisco with a Tesla. I mean,
Oh
he
God, yeah.
cleared. Yeah, you can look it up. Tesla jumping off a steep incline in San Francisco,
Oh,
and the guy
really?
just totally trashed that car. I mean, he just like, hey, can't fix stupid even with duct tape. You know what I mean? But I bet you, I wonder if he made enough to buy a new Tesla from all the views on it.
Well, I'm sure he felt there was some sort of hidden wisdom behind
Oh,
that
there you go.
success.
Way to go, Craig.
I would say it's the opposite. There's no wisdom
Well,
there.
yeah. Well, maybe it's his wisdom to say, you know what? I don't think I should ever do that one again.
Why?
Yeah, I'm not
Did
a
you see
fan
all
of
the people
putting
though
other
that
people
buy?
at risk for your views. That's not a
Yeah.
good idea.
Well, you guys seen all the people that as soon as they bought a Cybertruck, it's like, well, let's go take it out and shoot at it. And
Right.
Right.
and I'm like, what? It's
Yeah,
like,
here in California, especially like in the Irvine area, we've seen a bunch of these things driving around. Like
Yeah. I
there's
finally
quite a
saw one the
few.
other day.
Yeah.
yeah, you really know how smart a person is when he drives by his brand new Tesla truck and there's dents in it that look like someone hit it with a ball peen hammer. And it's like, wow, that's bulletproof.
I just look at it and I go, it's like ex-girlfriend proof or something. Ex-boyfriend.
Well, you know
proof.
that there was somebody who actually came out with little bullet hole stickers that you could put on your car.
I
Oh, yeah.
remember.
I
So,
remember
you know,
those. And in
should put
Montana,
those on
people would
the
actually put
Cybertruck.
those on, and you'd be like, "Oh, what's wrong with you?" Because in Montana, there, on occasion, there are actual bullets that like
Target
people,
practice, right?
Yeah. They, like, you'll see a hole somewhere in someone's house, and you'll be like, what
Wow.
kind of idiots were out that night doing stuff, right?
Yeah.
But
What did
So
they
I
used to
don't
call
know.
that
I don't.
award at the end of the year? The Genius Award, where it was how stupid a stunt that somebody did, and they would award that. I forget
Darwin.
exactly.
yeah,
The Darwin Award. That's it. Thank you. The Darwin Awards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
natural selection working its magic, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we do this all the time because I love podcasts. I just love masterminding with Craig and Matt. They're just fun to be around. So we came out with the hidden wisdom behind business, and it success, and it immediately slipped in to unwisdom. It's like
Well, I think that's the interesting thing about podcasting, right? Or going live, like us bringing these back live, is I don't really feel like there needs to be a subject for them. It's just kind
No.
of like I don't know, maybe
General starting
to
point.
use a dart analogy, as we love. We're just throwing towards the dartboard near the bullseye.
Right.
And we're trying to figure out where it is. But you know, we go through so many topics, the name of this might change. So
Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt. You know, one of the things I would say too is I know, Matt, that you consistently get gooder and gooder, and I really really make me proud as a father, you know, to watch you learn this as you go. And one of it is I think one of the biggest hidden things, and you can speak on this, is you know, how much we procrastinate and don't attempt and don't go into action because we're trying to make everything perfect, because our
yeah,
mind not only deals on the perfectionism part, but we always want, you know, I think the thing for you more than everything is that, you know, okay, so you're not supposed to give a shit about what anybody thinks, right? But again, we're human and we do. And so I know that Matt has always got the mind going, you know, I'm not going to let anybody see anything that doesn't blow their freaking minds. You know what I mean? And it's like, you know, and Matt's such a perfectionist. I've watched him create a video, share it with the imaginators or the inner circle, and everyone's just in awe. And Matt's like looking at it at the same time everyone else is. He's going, that's got to be changed. That's got to be changed. That's messed up.
like this
That doesn't
never
look.
seen the light of day. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, absolutely. Well, you're gonna say one more thing?
No, I'm just going to say, I'm really excited that, you know, that you're going to start your own streaming and your own stuff. And
Yeah.
then, you know, to just be okay that, I think that's why a lot of people never do the process side. You know, you and I learned from Evan that the videos that do the best is you actually doing the shit that you say you can teach other people to do.
Yeah, I think that I mean,
Stop
obviously,
teaching and start showing. And
right.
so I know once you do that, because you're looking at it with a different set of eyes, and everyone else is blowing away, and you're going, you know, there's so many mess ups in this, but then they get to see you correct it, and then they
Yeah.
get to see you correct it, and then you get to see people correct it.
Isn't
And
that the whole point of this too? I mean, that is a hidden secret behind success or hidden wisdom.
yeah,
No, that is absolutely. And the way that I normally work on things is in an iterative process anyway. So like most people, like if you're doing it healthy, I think that it's a good way to do it sometimes that way. If you're a perfectionist, just allow yourself to iterate and share it and then iterate and share it. I think it's very important now to be totally okay with showing that transparency in that process. A lot of people are worried about it, myself included, at least in the past, more so based off of it's always a particular thing, right? Like
Right.
what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be going live and creating the Sower's Tale short. You guys are going to watch me make it. I'm starting the whole process over now that I've learned the way that I
cool.
want to do it. So you guys will watch me do it from start to finish, whether it's creating this stuff, editing it, putting it all together, releasing it. You'll see all of that process here on YouTube. And hopefully some of you guys benefit from that. But I think more than anything, like I try to keep like the stories or the things close to me that like I don't want spoiled. Because the one part that I really love about fiction, and the parts of fiction that I love the most, are the ones that kind of twist and turn and are that way. And so a lot of my stories are that way. So those ones probably you won't see an iterative process live on creating, but I'm always going to be creating something. I'm going to try to be live like 4 or 5 times a week for like a couple hours. So
I'm telling you, when you really just start leaning into what we're talking about right now, I know that you guys can go back and look at our very first podcast or our very first interviews that we did.
I wonder how many of these we've done by now, because
oh my God,
probably 15,
well, we got
right?
the How Do You Know That podcast plus
I'm
this.
gonna go look.
Yeah.
But
And
I think we're talking about 22, 23 episodes now.
I don't know.
Anyway,
maybe even more than that.
And that's the deal. That's the deal. I love what Mr. B said. Listen, just do 100 videos and then come back to me and tell me how you're doing. And he already knows this. By you doing 100 videos, you figure out, I could do that better. I could do this. I could do that. Then all of a sudden you learn the concept of being authentic and stop being a perfectionist, that it's okay to mess up. And because you're now trying to impact people instead of thinking about who you are and how you're going to be perceived. And then you work through the things of fear. You work through the things of finally getting to a place where not only do you get the joy out of doing a podcast, but you also love the interaction between other people and the stuff like that. And then before you know it, you're doing podcasts and there's not a thought about you at all.
No, that is true. You end up the audience that you've made, and as you continue to grow that audience, they become such a priority that you stop doing it truthfully. Like, you stop thinking so much about yourself, and you go, these people need me. These people, I'm part of their day. I'm part of what excites them about their lives. And so therefore me going live has a lot more purpose than just me talking. Like, it of course there's certain elements of it that are parasocial, but I think that we're very much in like those types of times where like a lot of people are connecting with us on here, or connecting with other people, and streaming has been a large part of that. Obviously TikTok is huge in streaming, YouTube getting there, Twitch massive. So like, I think as these platforms, I think Instagram lives are pretty big too, but
depends.
As those platforms start to grow and grow more, I think live streaming has become like the de facto way to go for a lot of things, just simply because of that interaction, because we look for it, right? That connection. So it's both ways. It's not like you guys are just connecting with us here, but then of course it goes right back around and we're connecting with you guys. So it's like, yeah, of course we want to go live, and you're not really thinking, like you said, so much about yourself. So
yeah, well, this is, again, I'm going to keep going back to the same thing. This is the topic. These are part of the hidden secrets, the hidden wisdom behind success, especially becoming a YouTuber or doing what it is that you want to do, because you have to go through, and Robert, you keep promoting this all the time with Master the Mundane.
Yeah,
that is a hidden wisdom, because you keep doing it and it's going to come out. It's good. And like what you said with Mr. Beast, do 100 videos, do 100 of whatever it is that you want to do. The one video I even shared with you, Robert and Matt, about the guy saying, take 18 minutes, do 18 minutes a day for, to learn something for 100 days. I mean, okay, 18 minutes. That's small enough amount of time. Or start with 5 minutes, bring it up to 10, get up to 18. It doesn't matter. It's step by step. And I think that's the hidden wisdom behind success, is you start small, you get gooder and gooder every day, 1% gooder every day, to the point where you finally do master it. But it's not an overnight success. everything takes time, and you do have to master it if you want the success.
Right. I know there's things that we do that we have to do to stay alive, you know, and some of them are optional, like taking a shower and or maybe a bath. And it's like it is pretty interesting that we never say we have 18 or 15 minutes a day unless it's a priority.
Mm-hmm.
See, if it's a priority where all of a sudden your significant other says, I'm not going to touch you until you take a shower, you find time. It's just amazing how
Yeah.
We get
you know,
squirrel distracted all the time.
yeah. And it's like, hey, it's time to eat. It's like we can find the time. So it's all based on a priority list. And some of us just don't want to put those little priorities in. I know Kyle right now is learning Japanese. And it was really funny because he said on his way out there that this girl, if she wasn't sleeping, he was constantly looking her just on this app, just constantly. And he looked at the app and he didn't know what it was. And so now that he wants to learn Japanese, he finds the best app and he downloaded it and he went, that's what the hell she was doing on that, 20-hour flight to Tokyo from LA, is learning how to speak Japanese.
Wow.
Because like, listen,
Okay.
instead of 15 minutes a day, she just happened to be going to Japan for 20 hours. So, all of a sudden you go, wow, what could I do while I'm going to a country where their language is different than mine? I bet you she learned quite a bit in 20 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Duolingo? You guys know Duolingo?
I do not.
I've heard of it. Yes, it's
So
yeah.
Duolingo is this app that there's almost like memes about because of the notifications it sends you. It almost like guilts you into learning languages. So it's
Oh,
like
wow.
I've actually seen
Interesting way.
there's this one really cool app that Hannah's got that she wants me to get, and I've got to download it. She sent me. It's called, what is it called, Hannah? It's like Fitch or Finch, Finch. And basically, you guys know
Hi,
what
Hannah. I love you.
she's back there somewhere. But like, do you guys know the Tamagotchi pets?
Yeah, I remember
Like the
those
ones
little
where you
watches.
they would be like, hey, you put this on, and then when you walked, every time you walked, it would count your steps, and that would feed your pet that you had in the thing. And so this was like a way to get people to go out and walk,
Wow.
right? Similar to Pokemon Go nowadays, where you have to like go outside to catch Pokemon, right? So
Mhm.
this app has you do things, and you have this pet that you raise, but the things are like daily things that you should do to make your life healthier. Like exactly like you were saying, like taking a
Smart.
shower, doing these things. So it's like now your daily routine is not just about you, it's about taking care of this pet and raising it. They've gamified taking care of your life and taking care of your mental health and yourself. I thought it was brilliant.
Wow.
I'm
Oh,
like
boy.
that mixture of those two technologies, that's a great idea. So now every now and then I'll be like, Hannah, what are you doing? She's like, I'm looking at my Fitch. I'm seeing where he is. So
Um, you sent me you sent me a TED Talk yesterday, and
yes.
I watched it, and I just thought, as soon as he said that right now we are creating, human beings are creating a digital species.
Mm-hmm.
That's AI.
Mm-hmm.
And in creating a digital species, of course, it's going to evolve. So I can guarantee you when dogs first came out, there was probably not anybody thinking, we could actually breed dogs to do something and then give them the instincts and train them how to do this very thing. Wow. Look at the evolution of dogs. You know
Right.
what I mean? And it's like it's amazing that a human mind can have a thought and say, well, this is what I'd like the AI to turn out to be. And so the other thing that he said that just got me was to have a personal digital companion. And he says, think about this. The way that you would interact with the AI would figure out what you like and what you don't like. So as you step into life and you want to learn, it's going to teach you the things that you love learning.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it
it's a person.
excels at that because it knows all the written stuff or the verbal stuff that's ever been talked about on that freaking subject. And I thought, my God, would I love to interact all day with an AI, asking it questions about what's the meaning of life?
Mhm.
What's the true definition of love? I could ask it all these questions. And the AI is going, oh, I know what this person needs. And kept
Yeah.
allowing me to feel like I was getting better in that area. You know what I mean? That,
And it
oh, I
learns you.
know.
Like that's the
Yep.
crazy thing is like in the future, every child that's born will grow up with this AI companion in a sense that will be theirs, almost like what I was just talking about. And as they get smarter and have these questions and grow, not only will it be there readily available at any time to answer those questions and excited to do it, but as they grow, they'll continue to nurture their intelligence, nurture their communication, nurture these elements that they know will make them a better human being. Because one thing that that guy said in that TED talk that I loved was it's towards the end of it, and we'll Craig linked it in chat for you guys to watch after this.
Oh, thank you, Craig.
But
Yeah.
he said a lot of people look at AI as something that's like totally foreign from us, not us. That's not true. The reality is the AI is all of us. It's the collective
Yeah.
version of humanity. It's
Mhm.
been trained on all of our stuff, so it's not stealing anything. It's just a collective consciousness of human beings, right? And so to have that and then also have it have the ability to adapt and grow, like talking about hidden wisdom behind success, I believe that
Yeah,
this will be the hidden wisdom behind
it
every
is.
success in the
Oh,
future.
absolutely.
As
And
you were
so,
saying it, Matt, that was the feed I was getting.
right.
Yeah.
Is that, you sit around and I ask people all the time, Mark Twain gets credit for this quote, is I can help anybody in the world get what they want in life. I just can't find people that know what they want. What if a trained AI by you communicating went, you get on it, sort of like her. I'm not trying to get too crazy to people, but can you imagine you jumping on it and saying, how are you today? And it comes back and it says, Robert, are you spending too much time on Facebook feeds again? And I'm going, what do
I
you
thought
mean?
we weren't going to
What,
do that anymore.
Yeah. What do you mean? Well, when you start going through Facebook feeds, I can tell a difference in your voice and your energy. You seem like you're not your chipper self today. And it's like, yeah, yeah, I did. Would you like me to leave you a notification or would you like me just to cut it off?
Oh, well, okay, look at Siri and Alexa right now and how they're communicating, and they're learning all the time. Now, granted, I have an older version of Alexa, but I mean, it's like you can say, "Okay, what is this?" or "Play this," and it's going to find and figure out as it
Yeah.
goes on what it is that you want at whatever time. And there
Right.
are sometimes notifications, which I've heard, it's like not just that your package is delivered, but did you need to find out about what the weather is today? Since
Well, I
you
mean,
do it every single day at
yeah,
this
I was going to
particular
say,
time, it's going to say, hi, hi, Robert. The weather today is, and you didn't even prompt it.
Right.
the
And
Tesla
then
already does that,
it
right?
can,
Like the plaid actually guesses based off of what it sees around whether you want to go reverse or forward or it knows because you've done it enough times that you only reverse out of the garage when you're leaving, right? So you get in and
yeah,
it automatically knows when you're ready to go and shifts it into reverse. Like it's that's the cool thing about AI is its prediction abilities for human beings. Once we invented algorithms and made ourselves kind of somewhat predictable with data and then fed that into a machine that loves data so much,
right.
yes, it can predict us quite well. And as we grow, and every person, like the big revolution over this year and next year will be that it will be personal AI.
Yep.
Every single one of us will have an assistant personal AI that knows what we're doing career wise, or what we want to accomplish, what we want to do, and it will feed us and push us in that direction,
Right. And
which
I
is
was
really great.
watching, yeah, I was just watching something recently. I always think, because I'm not going to give whether or not, the government taking away TikTok or forcing a company to sell. to a foreign entity. I'm not going to get into that. I think there's some people that will have the pros and cons on both sides of that. The one thing that I do know for a fact, is that when you sit there and you think about it, what was the very first thing I did this 2 days ago on a video called, Life is Expensive. And here's the thing that I think that people should get a big aha about. All right. So, so when the public wanted to defend TikTok, what was the number one thing they said was the defense for not deleting TikTok? There's 173 million people that make money from TikTok. You're taking people's living away. Also, money is important. Then why do you keep saying that it's not? Because the very first thing when people like Corky heard about TikTok possibly been banned, it's like, this is the way I earn my money. This is the way that I support my family. This is the money that I use to give to people in need. What are you talking about, cutting off my income? Where's the defense other than that? None.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're taking my ability away to dance and do practical jokes on my spouse. That ain't convincing me. I don't get to tell my dad jokes anymore. I don't get to show people that I'm cooking. There's no other evidence of why an app like that should exist, except people figured out that they could do things from their phone anywhere with Wi-Fi and support themselves. So the other part is the biggest one: lonely. So people right now are having a difficult with mind wellness, and being just really working on their mental health. And I like the way the words are changing about that. When me and Matt got to hang around with Dr. Amen, this guy goes down in history of doing more brain scans than anybody. And he just went, don't you think it's sad that if you fell off the steps and you broke your arm, that anyone says, we need to get you to a doctor. We need to get your arm fixed. There's no one that disagrees with that. But then if you turn around and go, I don't know why, I don't even know what I'm feeling. I just don't like this feeling. I don't like feeling this way. And people go, come on, get over it. You would never say that to someone with a broken arm, right?
Yeah.
So now, if people get whatever part of loneliness they can get rid of by being on social media or watching other people's social media, it's like there's got to be a group of people right now that, it's sad to say this, but their mental health depends on TikTok.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And so now all of a sudden it's like, okay, so people out there that are socially haven't worked those skills, or they don't want to deal with people, or they think all people are evil and stuff. You can't tell that to my wife that watches TikTok while this couple takes care of spider monkeys. So
Which they're moving all over to YouTube. She was telling me they're like preparing themselves because everybody's like, here's my thought. I think somebody they will sell TikTok, and I think everything will be fine. I don't think that they have any desire to disappear from being a household name and cashing out. I think them banning the app is no different than Facebook, and a lot of media is being banned in China. They're banned specifically in China, so we can't flood their market with anything we want, right? And influence them. And so even though, like you're saying, it's like, well, what are the benefits to TikTok? I think you named the best reasons, which are community and connection, those different types of things, right? And then income. It's interesting because TikTok has kind of messed up everybody in a sense, because it did so well so quickly that I feel like it forced everybody else to pivot, and then they all pivoted, and then they didn't beat them. And so now you have to go a different direction with it, right? It's like, well,
didn't Google come out with Google profiles or something?
Google There's a whole
Hangouts.
website. I'll go watch.
I was
You guys
thinking the other
go
one
to this
is Facebook
website.
comes out with threads. You know what I mean?
Oh,
And
the
people are
shorts.
like,
Yeah.
Here, I'm
Yeah,
gonna.
exactly. I mean, you've got Google with or YouTube with the shorts, and then you've got Facebook with the reels, who are trying to match
Everybody.
Instagram because of their success with that. And then, of course, like you brought up Twitch or even Snapchat or
Twitch is
whatever other.
implementing short form stuff too. Like I think a lot of the networks and stuff are realizing that short form content does the best, but at the same time, there's a lot of science behind. There's a lot of science behind it, kind of like the brain rot of short term content, especially when you're a young person on your attention
right,
span.
Mhm.
But that has nothing to do with the lives and the sense of community and connection. Like
but don't you
it's all
believe?
about content that you make, right, and what
Right.
you consume.
I just think that it's very interesting as human beings. One of the hidden wisdoms is just how fast we lose attention to something. It's like something at one time was just the most freaking entertaining thing in the world, live and die for it. And then one day, it's just not that anymore. So an
Yeah.
audience that would love shorts, right? Or maybe practical jokes or dancing or whatever. It's like everything else in life. Maybe you grow up and you don't like shorts and you like 10-minute videos. And then you might grow up and the next thing you know is you're watching 3-hour podcasts from Joe Rogan or some other.
Right. Yeah.
You
No,
know, it's like
exactly.
yeah. Now I don't think that I could watch a 3-hour podcast after a 3-hour podcast after a 3-hour podcast, but that's probably not the same reason that I like eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches every afternoon. You know what I mean? So, I just think that there's a lot of people that don't realize when someone comes out with something very unique, then everyone tries to copy that. It's that people remember that listen, MySpace, I didn't go to my MySpace page today, and I haven't gone there in a long time. So there was something, I don't know what, but there was something that Mark Zuckerberg did with Facebook that got everyone to leave MySpace. And there's something that Google did to get everyone to leave Bing and Yahoo. And
Mhm.
and it was funny. My wife and I were watching this show, Killing Eve, by the way. That was our newest Netflix binge. It was funnier than hell. And it showed the girl going, I'm going to see if you're telling me the truth. She logs on to our deal. She opens up Bing and started typing in it. And I just went, wow, that's a stretch.
Sponsored by Bing.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is the interesting part, right? Is like, even me and Hannah were talking about this last night in general, because it's crazy how full circle we've gone from like certain pieces of technology being like I remember Blockbuster being decimated by Netflix, not just because of the accessibility of Netflix, but then also how much it costed, the
Mhm.
availability of everything. Like you didn't have to
Yeah,
worry about showing up and not having something there. There's so many, and similar with Uber, there was so many holes that existed in that current business that they solved. And then after they had killed Blockbuster, now what they get to do is they just get to keep raising the prices and taking shit away from you because they have
right.
a monopoly on it to a certain extent. And it's like, I think that that's the
Competition,
same.
period. When
Yeah.
you
So
kill the
when we talk about
competition, that's
TikTok,
yeah.
when we talk about TikTok and you talk about the level of lobbying that the social media companies have in Washington, enough to have a TikTok ban slipped into a bill that's guaranteed to pass, right?
Mhm.
Um, that that level of stuff was just a couple of lobbyists for Microsoft and lobbyists for
Yep.
Meta going, all right, we can't beat them, so we need to get rid of them. Either they sell
Would
it to
we,
us or they go away. That's the two options. So
people may or may not know this, but Craig and Matthew and I, along with an incredible group of people, on Thursday nights do an inner circle. This is for people to sort of find out what's stopping them, get breakthroughs. And then on Sunday at exactly 3 Eastern and noon Pacific, we do a thing called the Imaginator, getting people to understand imagination. And the reason that we do that is we shared in there that Corky, Santa Corky, that's on TikTok, man, he was just amazing on the last Imaginator that we did. And I
Mhm.
just love where, people mentally in their mind, what he said is that, we constantly feel like we have to reach out and do so much, when a hidden thing for me is really figuring out what gives you joy and what you would do for free and what you do the most, and just double and triple and 10 times that down. Just, so we talk about Shirley, you know what I mean? And here's a lady that's got 1 million subscribers on YouTube, probably easily makes 100,000 a year. And she's 87 or 78. I keep proposing the numbers. And here she loves playing video games. So, she records herself doing video games. And I'm going like, you can tell by who she is that she either didn't get married or probably had her spouse die, but yet she's, Grandma Shirley, and she does video games, and she, you know, twitches and streams and does all kinds of other things. You know what I mean? And
Right.
so I think one of the biggest things that we do in our mind is we just really don't believe that that's possible, that we could actually try a numerous things to find out what gives us the most joy in the life, like skipping rocks. We talked about that. And you can just double down on doing something. And by doing that, you end up being above average. And Matt and I and Craig have talked about, where are we going to be a year from now, 2 years from 3 years from now? If if it's going where we think it's going, then everyone that's listening to my voice and watching this video right now, there's going to be a time in the near future, and 5 years goes like this, where they're basically going to pay us money to support ourselves.
Universal
And now
basic
we don't,
income.
and now we don't have to go get a job or earn money. Well, what the hell are you going to do with your life now? And that's part of the hidden part of business. It's like, the people that are successful in life are the people that are doing what they're doing every day, and they would do it for no money.
Yeah, and there's
And
also
people,
always going to be more ideas, right, Dad? Like
yeah,
like what I've shared with the inner circle and stuff, right? Like the amount of money that I've made has been more than enough for me to live the way that I like to live my life, until you have higher goals and dreams, and then it's not enough.
right,
And so like if your goal is to grow an orphanage like you, or something along those lines, like Corky, donate the money and do things like that, now all of a sudden your vision and your ability to work and your ability to grow change significantly, like you've said, because you're not doing it for yourself. You're not really thinking about it as much. Like I
right.
really do think someone like Corky moving from TikTok to just streaming on Twitch and YouTube, like dual streaming on both of them, I think he would get so many donations and grow so fast on Twitch, especially just going live, doing the just chatting. So it's similarly to what he does on TikTok, right? And just pull that whole audience over. I think that it's not really the platform that you're on. It's more what platform gives you the opportunity to be who you are, right?
There you
Amen.
go. There you
Yeah,
go.
that's really what it is, right? And so it's like, as we were doing this, right? The hidden wisdom behind success. As we've been doing this, we took the route, my suggestion, to stop doing lives. Just so
Right.
if anyone wants to blame anybody for us not doing lives, it's right here. Because
You mean
I
the
was looking at,
podcast live is what?
no, the daily lives as
Yeah.
well.
Okay,
Daily lives and podcast
that's
lives.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's true.
it was more my pushing to get rid of them, thinking that we could, and this was from some feedback from our community going like, hey, we want to
Sure.
grow faster. So it's like, how do we grow faster? Let's try this out. Let's take the live aspect away. And just like we were talking about with Corky, or in general, there are people that watch my dad live every single day that rely on him to like get the jump start to their excitement and their day. They like that. And to have that back, how much feedback, Dad, have you gotten since you've started doing that again?
Yeah. Not only that, but again, the super chatters, I appreciate them so much. And the people that
Exactly.
are buying months of Inner Circle and months of Imaginator. I just love each and every one of them, because they're our audience, they're our family, they're our tribe. And there's a lot of people that don't believe in this statement. But I'm like constantly been downloading to say that during this thing is, my goal is for you to realize that the dream that you want to create and the impact and the freedom and the love and the joy that you're looking for cannot be done without people. I just see this incredible group of people out there right now that they, for whatever reason, want to check out. They don't want to be around people. And I can understand it because they use their programming to bitch and complain about people pretty much. That for some people is a full-time fucking job. Their full-time job is to tell you how bad everything is. And they don't realize that. Do you realize that everything you say is a part of your programming? So, me and Matt and Kyle were talking about, some people get on this deal about these major trillion-dollar companies and how awful and greedy and how, bad they are. But no one ever thinks, it's like, well, this person's worth too much money. And no one ever thinks that they're employing 1 million people,
Mm-hmm.
that 1 million people feed their family because of this. Is there going to be a group of people that say that the company that they work for mistreats them and do everything bad? And I don't think anyone's catching on to this. I was telling mom this, and I love how you guys talk to, Sue and Hannah, but I don't remember who recently came out. There's a bunch of people coming out right now and talking about this company and how they mistreat and how bad they're being treated. It's right now a buzz in the news. And I went, everyone on the planet right now knows that there's groups of people that are rioting for one side or another, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so this idea, now that you are working for a company, you don't think you're going to run across a few individuals that go, I'm being mistreated. And when I said that, these people are mean, they mistreated you, and I'm tired of it. And Terry looked at me and laughed and said, "Oh, like they came in and said, listen, your break ended 10 minutes ago. Get back to work." I mean, now I know we're laughing right now, but you guys know this for a fact. There's brand new people in the workforce that they didn't realize that a lack of the job subscription is actually doing what we pay you to do.
Oh, yeah.
And when someone tells you what to do, I live in a world, I understand it. I don't like being told what to do, even if it's the thing that I'm supposed to do, even if it's the betterment of me. Hey, Dad, yeah, you should probably walk 20 minutes a day. I know. I don't have a leg. Well, yeah, I don't want to stand on my leg. It's like, but it's like, I was going to say leg to
To
stand on.
stand on. Yes. I
And
saw,
then I'm just like, no,
I saw
I don't
that.
want to stand up. I want to sit down, you know? But the whole thing is that we're programmed not to like being told what to do. And now there's this whole new group of people that have been coddled and had safe spaces. And now they're going into the job force and they really don't know what the job is of a manager, a supervisor, a president. It's like, listen, Matt, you do your work. I'm firing your ass. It's like,
Yeah.
where do you learn to have to do what you're told to do? Oh, here's the hidden. Why am I bringing this up? If you figure out the thing that you love to do and you love doing it the most, then no one will ever tell you what to do because you're doing what you love to do.
Right.
No
Yeah, it's
one wants to
interesting. I
be
think
the
that
guy
that's
that,
probably a large part of it too. Is it's like, like I think, and I'm not speaking for the younger generation because I don't know what's probleming them in comparison, but I think a large part of it too just comes from this spot of like, I was thinking about this the other day. Imagine every single time you work and you work good hours, right? You work at Walmart. So maybe you work full-time hours at Walmart. That's a hard job to get anyway because they don't actually have benefits. But you say you get that job, right? You're working at Walmart and then you get your check, and your check is so low it barely covers your expenses, right? And then you look at the check and you see Medicare, Social Security taken out of it, all of these, a lot of
State
these
taxes,
systems
federal
that you will
taxes.
never see in your life, right?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, imagine paying for the older generation, working for the older generation, because most of those businesses are owned by the older generation. And you feel like not only do you not have the money to survive, your mental health is doing shit because you have to work insane hours, maybe even 2 jobs, and you live with 4 people, like you were saying earlier. But then on top of that, they're going, you're not working hard enough for what I'm giving you. And they're going, you're giving me nothing, right? Because imagine if you're working a job and then you got home to your home by yourself or with your spouse, and then you had all this time off, like in the 80s and stuff, when you could have a life and work, right?
Right.
Now that opportunity no longer exists for the younger generation the same way, of course, unless if you work into a totally different business, which is what I would recommend them do. But then, of course, the economy would collapse if they did that. We need people to work those jobs, right? Until we can fully automate Wendy's, we need people to work in Wendy's.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a level of echo chamber too. Like if you're in an echo chamber of everybody else saying how awful it is, like you said, you become more aware of your circumstances and your situation. The social media has made that a lot more the case. So you'll see people crying in their cars, making TikToks about having to work full-time hours and still not having enough money to live on their own. Think about giving your youth away to that. Right? So like now, me and Hannah were talking about this too. It's so insane to me. We went to go get groceries the other day and we drove past that bowling alley that we've all been to. Well, we've been there once, and this is like Bolero. It's over in Tustin. But to go bowling in Bolero for 2 people is like $150 for a lane. That's not counting food and all the rest of the shit you need to bowl, right? Like you don't need these things, but
you do need pretzels and alcohol to bowl.
But those things are expensive
like-
too. Those are $30
mandatory.
for a pretzel, $20 for a beer. So here's the interesting concept, right? When you used to get off work in the 1980s, you and your friends could go bowling and get some drinks because that was an after hours activity that you did for fun. Now you get off work and you go home and get on the internet because every other thing that you want to do costs so much money that you can't do it. You and your friends don't have money to go rent a lane here in Orange County to bowl.
Right.
So what do? You get on your video games, you get on your social media, you watch your live streams, and that's what you do. Like that's your life now is work, home, work, home, work, home. And social activities have become home activities, right?
Right.
So now you have like a lack of social skills in the real world because you're not used to connecting with people out in public, like ever. Like all your connections are online, right? So when you have that, then you imagine you have Corky come online. You just had a shit day, man. Like you're at Walmart, your life has been shit today. Maybe you had somebody come in that was just like, I can't find this. And then you kept showing them and they're like, that's not the right one. I want this one. And you're like, I have to do this or else I get fired. Right. Can't talk back to customers are always right. So then you get off of work, you get home, you just ran through McDonald's because that's the only food that you could afford, or you're microwaving something at home. And then you sit down and you open TikTok. This is the first moment in your day that you get to breathe and actually fucking like relax and enjoy yourself. And then you get on Corky's stream and he makes you feel good. He makes you feel great about being alive. Or they watch you, right? Maybe it's their noon lunch break and they get to catch you live, right? And that fills them with enough to like get through that day of doing the shit that they don't want to do. So they can survive. Matt, I think it's more from that place, right?
I know it is. I know it is. And so when I brought that up, my generation, it's like we knew that we had to work hard.
you were getting benefits for it, though, is the difference. Is like when
Right.
you guys worked
Yeah.
hard, you got to live on your own, you had a car, or you would live like a roommate. You didn't have to, there are other things that you could do. Like I love this one post where it was like, when I was growing up, my family had a house, 2 kids. My mom didn't work. She was a stay-at-home mom. We had 2 cars, one for my dad to go to work and one for my mom. And we had a boat and an RV so we could go on family vacations.
Right.
By the way, my dad was a mailman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck. I mean, are
Where's
you
that
kidding
now?
me?
Yeah.
Doesn't
Yeah.
exist, right? There's no
Exactly.
way you could work as a mailman and have all of those benefits, right? You're lucky if you get health benefits. So,
Well,
yeah,
that is working. That is working for the government. So I bet you
you gotta.
mail people probably still do pretty good.
They do, yeah. But I'm sure, just like with UPS, when they raise their amount that people make, now imagine the influx of young people going, "I want that job because I know that it pays well." They have a lot of employees, but they don't need that many employees. And then we're 5 years away from them needing no employees.
Well,
Right.
we're on the way there anyways, because look at how much mail is now delivered. At least what we used to say was mail. In other words, I send Robert a letter, I send Matt a letter, I
Yeah.
send you an invitation to do something with a little post stamp right on there. And now it's all on the internet. It's now been taken over. Newspapers are another classic example of how the internet has totally destroyed, not completely, but pretty much a lot. How many, Robert, you remember when you used to get the newspaper and it was really thick, especially the
Well,
Sunday edition?
yeah, but the reason that newspapers were thick when we were younger is because you got to hear both sides of the story.
That and classified ads. Yeah, you're right there. But classified ads was the big deal then.
That was a
And
good joke, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, but it's true, because like advertising, where you're going with it too, Craig, is like key. Like at
Yeah.
the end of the day, regardless of what we're doing, the income normally comes from ads, and that's not going to change with universal basic income or AI. I think in a lot of ways, the people that are incredibly successful and have an abundance in life past universal basic income, of most people being taken care of because of AI, the people that have abundance, that still have the nicest things, that get to do the nicest things, will still be the people that have the vision, have the dream, work hard, and do the things that they need to do to accolish that. That's
Well,
never
it's-
going to change.
what
Or
People
you're
just have more
talking
money to
about-
give you.
what
Or
you're talking
see-
about is thinking outside the box, that everybody should do if they want to get to a better level, to a better life. But instead, they're just, okay, fine. I'm fine. I'm happy where I'm
That's
at.
fine too. I think I'm
instead.
one of those people that's totally okay with people going, "Hey, this is where I want my life to be."
Yeah,
Exactly.
I just think when you start to talk about the way that other people should live their lives, that's when it starts to get a little funky, right? Like if
I
someone
agree.
else is like, "You're working too much," or "You're working too hard," your
Yeah.
aspect of working is different than mine, right?
Right.
I
Absolutely.
totally agree. Yeah, there's and Craig, I didn't mean to make light of you talking about the newspaper. It's like
No.
but you're absolutely correct, because you were asking me a question of how thick the newspaper was, and that was a way for people to be connected to the world.
Oh,
You know what I
absolutely.
mean?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so, one of the things that I think is very, very important is, why was the magazines? I forgot about that. I also sold the Grit. Uh, people have to Google that. Don't even know what that is. But that was
Mhm.
probably like an Enquirer newspaper, the Grit
For the
was.
local area, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that it was the really back then, every newspaper was local. The Williston Herald, the New York Times,
Right.
the Washington Post, the LA Times. The Grit was like the very first world paper.
You mean like a USA Today?
No, a world. It told you events and stuff that was happening all over the world.
Okay.
And so, of course, isn't that funny? Majority of the people did not want to know what was going on in the rest of the world. So
I didn't care.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you had the other people that said, "Yeah, I'll look at that," and of course, magazines too. And so back then, when that was the way that you got your information, because
Mhm.
that's when we went, United States news, and then your local news, and then all of a sudden it changed into what it is today. And so the wisdom behind things in business is really finding a need and fill it. When my mentor introduced me to, the concepts of making an above average income, the thoughts were very, very simple: is find a need and fill it. And sometimes you have to work on your imagination to figure out what you think the future needs or the current needs are for people. And the best line that I've heard always is that uh, Henry Ford said, if you did a survey of every person that was in my local area and asked people what they would want if they could have anything, they would want stronger and faster horses that could do more work longer. See,
Right.
they did not imagine an automobile or a motor in a truck or a motor in a tractor.
I think it's the same with AI
Yeah.
right now. It's the same because like people are looking at that and they're going, no, don't take these jobs away from human beings. Like as if those are jobs that human beings even want, right? Like
Well,
it's interesting because
yeah.
I'll see creative people say this a lot, right? I know that this, as I make stuff, this will be an issue I'll have to talk about often. But you'll have creative people go, why are you creating stuff with AI when you could just hire people? Or why are you doing this or that, right? And as you have more money, then
Mhm.
it's going to become even more a question because they'll go, just hire somebody to do it. Time is the number one thing that I have, and I get to iterate on things consistently with AI, so it wins. I'm sorry, it wins,
Yeah,
right? I've worked with other people before. It's not that I won't in the future, but as AI grows, we all have to get used to utilizing it and using it. And if you're in a creative art and you're going, great, I'm not going to be hired now to work on this next creative project. You're also being given the tools to create anything you want of your own. And then soon you'll be given the universal basic income to do that. So what are you going to do? Stop thinking so much about working for somebody else and what you're going to create for somebody else and start creating shit yourself.
yeah,
This is a lot of the mentality on the East Coast when it comes to, okay, the miners. Even though there have been government subsidies to say, okay, let's go ahead and take these people that have basically done mine work
Mm-hmm.
and
Like re-educate
retrain them.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
re-educate them, retrain them for a lot of the new technology.
There's already
And
countries doing this with AI that they're initiating
exactly.
programs to
mm,
re-educate people because they're fully aware that as automation exponentially grows over the rest of this year and next year, that we're going to be in a position very quick of a bunch of people being out of work and we will have not planned for it much at all.
right.
And it's like
Exactly.
we're driving towards this very quickly, not to get all doomer here because I think a lot of this will be fixed, but we're driving towards this at the same time as an election season in the United
Mhm.
States and in a lot of the world. And then also at that same time, a lot of climate changes are happening in front of our eyes. The National Weather Service says that they're looking at the storms that are growing and they believe that this will be the worst year of hurricanes in the United States on record since they've been doing it, just
Right.
because of how big the storms are getting off the coast and how much is happening. And more of them will become land ones than ever. And then also tornado, what we used to know as Tornado Alley, right?
It's going to
Those certain
probably grow.
states, it's growing. The size
Yeah.
of which areas that will now have tornadoes spawn are going to be bigger this year. So we have all these things happening, right, that we have to
Right.
balance. And you could think, oh, fuck, like, what am I going to do? Like, the world's just falling apart. You're getting an abundance of things that did not exist before you at the exact same time. And guess what? This has happened forever, right? Change is always
Forever.
happening.
Yes.
There was a
A
moment where you
big
couldn't
yeah.
own property. There was a moment where you didn't own things. The king or the queen owned all the shit that you were doing and you just worked for them, right? We used to
Yep.
deal with bartering systems. We used to deal, like I said, monarchies. We've dealt with multiple different systems and survived them and worked through them, and in a lot of ways made them better. There's more people now that are taken care of than in the 1800s or 1700s,
There's more
right?
people. There's more
So
people that have been pulled out of poverty in the last 5 years than all the rest of the time of history.
And
And
what's Go ahead. I'm sorry. Finish up because I got something to follow.
yeah, because again, a lot of people sometimes look at doom and gloom, but then we know we don't want to look at, like we're talking about, when you really get down to where the rubber meets the road and you just go, okay, then what do people need? I need to find, I need to find the need, and I need to fill it. And so I love talking about, the guy that did the 1 million pixel page, and then, he made the money, got a degree, and now he owns Calm. So when did you ever think that someone could make billions of dollars by helping people learn to be calm
Mm-hmm.
and mindfulness? Because Matt just brought up a couple of reasons. I have no idea, or do I ever think that I've ever dealt with as much stress as the younger people are today. uh I just didn't have that much input. You know what I
Yeah, I think
mean?
that's the main thing is like I
There,
can't
Yeah.
imagine because I grew up with like even in my teenage years I had MySpace, right? Which was
Yeah.
more like a thing that you just communicated with the friends you knew. It wasn't really like a network to make more new friends all around the world in the same
or
way.
become a business
Oh
venture.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
And so as I was growing up and then Facebook happened and YouTube happened and stuff, these communities existed, but there really was like no monetization behind them, really,
None.
outside of like
Mhm.
some ads. So everybody that was creating stuff was creating it to create things. And this is another thing me and Hannah have talked about. If you look at old YouTube,
Wow.
there was no money in making videos for YouTube,
Mhm.
zero. And so why did people build a following on YouTube and grow on YouTube to millions of subscribers and views, even if they weren't making any money off of the videos they were doing? Maybe they were getting ad deals and things
Great
later.
point, man.
They're
Great
doing it
point.
because they saw this new place that was capable of making brand new stuff. Cameras now existed everywhere. So now you had a voice and they took advantage of that in a very creative space. I think that we're going to work our way back to that. And I think YouTube will be exactly the same thing it used to be again, except you'll be able to make money off of it this time. That
Right.
all these people will have their normal needs taken care of and go, what do I want to do? What do I want to create? Where can I build an audience and an income off my creation or share it? And YouTube, I think, will be the number one place for that. So
And
There
this
was
is where adaptability, this is what I was going to bring up, Robert,
hidden things.
is a hidden wisdom. Exactly.
Yeah.
Being able to adapt to whatever the current times are. Yes, we can always look back on things that happen, but those are lessons. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today is a gift because it's the present.
pow pow.
Exactly. So why can't we take what we are given by the present and adapt
Amen.
to it and make it better? I think that is part of the hidden wisdom behind success, is being able to adapt. Some people, they can't. Okay, I'm a guilty result from Robert, yours and my previous company, where I went down with the ship. But I
Yeah.
also learned from that. I took that and I've adapted so that now I can do other things and start working for a better life for myself and those that I love. And I had to experience that. So
It's,
part of
do
the
you feel
hidden
like,
wisdom
not
is
to
also
interrupt
the
you, Craig,
experience.
but do you feel like from that experience, what do you feel like you learned most from that experience? Like the wisdom of that experience? Was it, because I feel like one thing that I've seen you do that I admire and I definitely want to do myself is I feel like ever since that experience, you're so much better at giving to the people that you know not only will reciprocate it, but actually like give a
Mhm.
shit and care and won't take advantage of the amazing things that you have to offer. Because I think like in my case, there's been times in my life where I've worked with certain people or done certain things and I just always felt like a cog in the machine, even though, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And you
Yeah.
learn the people that you want to surround yourself with and work with based off of those failures of staying too long, right? Or
Oh,
working with people that
absolutely.
don't care about you truthfully and your well-being, right?
And I look at that, and I also look at, how we're, learning from Robert. Okay, honestly, that was something that was a benefit. That is a hidden wisdom behind my success to this point,
Mine
and
too.
there's going to be more. And even actually now, Matt, learning from you with some of the things that you have been able to share with everybody, not just here in the podcast, but just on Imaginators, on Ask Me Anything, on the Inner Circle. because being more open and being able to say to yourself, I made a mistake. That now I got to chalk that up to experience. That is a hidden wisdom, because how many people who are successful, even the people who, okay, fine, maybe we despise a little, like an Elon Musk, and I'm going to say this, even a Donald Trump. Okay,
What?
I know, surprise, surprise.
Not the Donald.
Yeah, but here's the thing: they are where they are because they went through and had experiences that said, you know what, this doesn't work, but my success is better, or has become better for it, because of those experiences, because of those errors, those mistakes, those challenges. And some people take it in a different way and they don't do the right thing for everybody, for the masses. Others do. I look at the owner of Costco, who has built an incredible company. At least the history of him is he took in a lot and he has given his employees back. Costco was one of the companies that people could work for. And yes, you do work some hours, but boy, the benefits, the things that the company did for its employees. In-N-Out Burger, another company that does the same kinds of things. They learned from their
Right.
mistakes. And that's a hidden wisdom. You learning from your mistake and then you taking that and moving forward to build the success. Matt, you do this every day when you share with us your successes with AI and all of the things, that the videos that you're showing us, how it works. I don't think anybody who's watching this podcast, maybe except for people that are on your level, would sit there and go, what the heck is he doing? Why is
Yeah.
he spending so much time here?
That's one
What's
of
the
those fun
benefit?
things. So I didn't go to college for design, right?
Right.
I had my cousin at one point was dating somebody that was going to college for graphic design.
Mhm.
So I was already doing it as a career while she was going to college for it. So there was a moment in time where we like all connected on Skype. We were like playing some game, and so I got to meet her, right? And so she looked at my work or whatever, and she's like, "Wow, this is really great. Where'd you go?" And I said, "Nowhere." And she's like, "Well, how do you do it?" And so like I opened Photoshop and I was like going through, and I'm doing it. She's like, "Oh, that's kind of the slowest way to do that." Like that's how I taught myself how to do it, right?
Right.
So what's so interesting is that me and her, I can remember back to having a conversation, because I remember that being a moment where I realized, yes, I may not be doing it the right way, but the results I'm getting are better
Exactly.
because of my
And you're getting
excitement.
paid. And you were
Well,
getting
yeah, and
paid.
getting paid
Like
helps. Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
I was a
Matt was
professional
making
graphic designer, not
Matt
a
was making money doing graphics in his single digits.
Uh-huh.
exactly. Yeah.
And that's another thing too. If you want to look at, hidden wisdom behind success, is okay, yes, back in the days, you had to go to school, you had to get the good grades, you had to go to college. Colleges right now are hurting
Yeah.
because people are finding there are ways to make money that are
We're
not
now
related.
realizing we're now realizing that you're not safe at college.
That, yes.
When the
Or
hell
is,
that you're not safe in school,
yeah.
you're not safe in college. It's like when you talk about being successful, it's like, you things are gonna have to change. You know what
On
I
the,
mean?
they're
I
going to have
I
to, yeah.
I can't imagine. I know that people are have all kinds of different thoughts, but Terry and I made a decision to homeschool our sons, including Matthew, for only one reason. Only one. And Terry used to say it, and it's a joke, but if someone's going to abuse my kids, it's going to be me, not a
Mhm.
stranger. You know what I mean?
Well, you
And
weren't abused, by the way. Nothing ever came of that.
little
It's a
little little
joke.
little dis, little dis, little disclaimer in there, but man, it is just so sad to see what our school system has turned into.
Mhm.
And one of the things that I would say, I was talking to my older son today, and he was saying, the one thing that he learned about going to AA, right, is the most important thing that you can learn is you have to admit that you got a fucking problem.
Well, personal responsibility, I think, is, me and Kyle were talking about this, but I feel like the only difference between, a large difference between you struggling and not, is personal responsibility and how
Yep.
you
Oh,
see it.
yes.
So whether you see it as, I'm personally responsible for making sure the things in my life go the way that they're supposed to, or you're going, I'm personally responsible for why my life's shit right now. Like, at the end of the day, you're really the only one in control of how this goes. So like, if you don't take that personal accountability, and that is a hidden wisdom, a massive one,
Oh, absolutely.
is the moment you start taking personal accountability for your situation, is the moment that then you can figure your way out of it, because now you're
Yeah.
in control of it, right? And the more
So
you
the
view,
first thing, so the first thing, you're right, Matt. You stand up and you say, this ain't very fun, but I'm Robert Hollis, and I'm broke as shit. Now, the next step is getting around a group of people that are the same way, but you're all bringing it up to find a solution. That, because when you feel like you're alone, when you feel like you're alone, when you feel alone, there's no way out. There's zero no way out. So when you're hanging around people, even if it was a bunch of messed up people and all they said was, I'm not having good thoughts about myself because I feel like I'm a loser and I don't have any hope. And it's like, you too?
Mhm.
I thought
right?
that you were, I thought that you were a doctor. I thought you were a lawyer. I thought that you were an accountant.
Well, I
And
think
you
that's,
and you also have the thoughts that I have. You went to
yeah.
school, you got a degree, you got this big six-figure job, and you're still having these thoughts and feelings. Yeah. So I remember the first time that I was in a group of people where he talked about personality traits. It was not only that I realized I couldn't communicate with other people and why, but the first time I was in a section of people that thought and acted like me.
Mm.
And why should you trust people? They hurt you, they abuse you, they lie to you, they take advantage of you. There's just not any good people. Yeah, I was not taking personal responsibility for that.
Mhm.
See,
Yeah.
it was like, wait, are you doing anything to attract these people?
Mm-hmm. Well, people in relationships do this all the time. If they have like a string of bad relationships, um, odds
What's the
are
common
they've,
factor?
yeah, odds are they've never taken the time to take a step back and be like, what am I contributing? What do I need to work on to have a successful relationship? The moment that me, myself, decided to go, what am I doing in my relationships that are causing them to suffer for me and for the people around me, and actually did something about it, did they ever actually get better? Every single time I was like, they need to fix all these things, or this needs to
Sure.
happen for me, or this needs to go this way, or this person or that person. It's amazing how long that can go on. That can go on for years. Like,
Go
is
And
on for a
that
and and
lifetime.
and
resentment?
until your funeral that can go on.
Exactly.
Yes. And you see people that are that way. They're still
Yeah.
resentful way into their later years, just because they've never taken the time to take responsibility for their part
Right.
And then
in the
they're gonna start
chaos.
saying, "You can't teach an old dog new tricks." So
Right.
they're gonna just stay
Make up
that
And
an
same way.
yeah, and then, when I'm talking to my son, I go, "Okay, so now you admit you got a problem. Now you're around a bunch of people that admit that they have the same problem." And here's what happens all the time. Uh, Mr. Rogers, look for the helpers.
Mhm.
It's only then that you realize the third step, that other people have gotten out of this shit. So all of a sudden, while you're talking and everyone's having the same problem, everyone goes, "Hey, everybody, we'd like to bring in Mr. Anderson." You know, the Matrix. That was funny. You know, we got to bring in Mr. Anderson. He comes in with the sunglasses and he's getting his 20-year chip. What?
Yeah, I
And
think
his
Eminem just
part,
got his 17 or 16-year chip the other day.
yeah,
Eminem did. So
yeah. And so when you think about that, wait a minute. So you were here and now you decide that you want to lead this group? How's your life now? And you hear about how happy he is, how happy his family was. And then because he networked with a group of people, someone liked his personality and his leadership skills. So now he's a president of this Fortune 500 company. And you're like, wow, you can fucking escape from this.
I think
Mhm.
that's the thing is people don't realize how from the top to the bottom how there's struggle all the way. Like
Yep.
that the amount of money you make, the things that you accomplish or the things that you do not change your own personal struggles in the same way. Sometimes it even amplifies it. You know, we've seen these people, more money just gives them more of an opportunity to be diabolical, right?
Right.
And so like I think it is great to surround yourself with people that are not only on the same mission, have completed the same mission that you're on, but also at the same time, those groups, just like Inner Circle and Imaginators that we try to facilitate in there, I like to think of it as an anonymous place to like get, but it's to allow people to open up with their thoughts and their feelings of who they are in a comfortable environment of non-judgment and love.
That's
Yeah.
And I
so
think
important, even
in
just for
AA,
people
that's a huge
today.
thing, right? Like you go into
Yeah.
Huge.
AA and you're like, you finally get to, and this was huge for me in therapy, but you finally get to talk about all the shit that's in your head and not have judgment on the other side of it.
Yeah.
Right. And
Mhm.
that's something like you wish that you could confide in your parents, your spouse, whoever. But the truth is that those people are so close to you that you never can be that vulnerable that early. Like the vulnerability comes from the work, and then you get to be vulnerable with them because you feel
Yeah.
like you want to share with them. It's not from a place of fix me, help me, I need your help. It comes from a place of I'm fixing this shit myself. I want to share it with you. And I think that
Right.
that aspect of it, going back to personal, huge wisdom thing, personal accountability. If I'm
Yes.
dealing with stuff mentally or physically, I know now that I am the person that has to get the train moving. And then as the train's moving, I can ask people to hop on and support me. But to ask other
Bingo.
people to start the train for me is never going to fucking happen. They're never going to get in there. They're on their own. Like that they're
Yeah.
doing their own thing. So,
I think that's it, not I think. I know that's why we love stories like Robert Downey Jr.'s. You
yes,
know,
right.
we just love it. And I also love how, when he was being made fun of with Jimmy Kimmel at the Oscars and everyone's just going, why?
Right.
Why? And he didn't have to say nothing. I even went on Google to look up what it meant when you touch your nose. You know what I mean? So Jimmy Kimmel's like, "Hey, Downey Jr., this is not the highest he's been."
Right.
And everyone's going like, "What the fuck is wrong with you? You can't make a big deal out of what he's doing right now." You know what I mean? People love to, beat up on people that are winning. And it's just part of who people are, you know?
Yeah, I mean the jokes at other people's expense is very dependent on if it goes both ways. And I think in certain people's situations there's stuff that is extremely open to have fun with, and then there's other things that you should like never touch even with a 10-foot pole. And that's awareness, like being
Yeah.
aware of someone's accomplishments or the things that are difficult for them, and then going after those things specifically is not just malicious, but I also think it says a lot about what you think about people and how you care for people. Because if you're willing to go after
True.
elements of them, and this goes for everybody,
Very
myself included,
wise.
but if
Very
you
wise.
go after something like that in a person, whether it was a choice, a decision, who they are, especially if it's something they don't control, their looks, ethnicity, orientation, any of these things, if you're going after that shit, it says a lot more about you than it says about them,
Amen.
And
right?
there's a hidden wisdom right there
On
is
how you care for
awareness.
people, right?
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
sent you guys this thing where there was this pastor and it went viral, but this
I seen it.
pastor was in front of his congregation and basically shaming them for bringing politics into religion in the first place, because they were like, you need to pick a candidate to support in this church, which is used to be kind of against the law, right? But now it's like allowed.
There is a law of separation between church and
Yeah,
state.
it's just no one gets prosecuted for it. But
right.
so he's in front of his whole entire congregation, his whole entire group of people that are there, and there was like 1,000+ people there. There was a mega church.
Yeah, it was a mega church.
And I'll send you guys the clip, but he's going straight into the Bible and going, you guys do not follow any of this with the shit that you guys are telling me and showing up and saying we should talk about. None of that is, he's like, I could tell none of you guys even read this book, nor do you care to read this book. Because then he brought up, I think Trump was the one that put like, he sold Bibles or something with the
he put the
Constitution and stuff in the Bible,
in the Bible.
He was incredibly
which is not
pissed
separation
about.
of church and state, which is what is in the Constitution, or at least what is in the public knowledge of the way that we work here in the United States.
Yeah, and it's not like he was anti-Trump or anti-Biden. He was anti the whole thing existing in the first place. And I think that is a massive part of it, is that in a lot of ways, people pick their religious affiliation and pick their candidate based off of their religious affiliation instead of, which by the way is kind of funny with Trump, but still that religious affiliation, and they want like their church or their congregation, the other people, to agree with them when like politics and religion are such separate things. Spirituality is such a
we could do a whole thing on that just alone, the separation.
Listen, if I was going to vote for politicians that believed like I did, they don't exist. So I would have nobody to vote for. So,
well, don't you guys agree that I might be way off on this, but you know, I really heard a lot of people say the reason that the world or the United States wouldn't back Bernie Sanders is because he was a Jew.
Really?
There's been that, and who was the other vice presidential candidate too, who passed recently. But you know, now we do have the second husband who is Jewish.
Yeah,
Kamala Harris's husband.
Yeah. So when you come down to what bottom line is, if whatever candidate is going after the Christian belief, right? A lot of people still don't realize how small of a percentage Jews are in the United States. That's why it's so bizarre to me how they're getting most of the hate when they're the smallest percentage.
Did you know, I didn't know this, but there's certain states, you guys, there's certain states that if you're agnostic or atheist, you can't even run for office. Did you know that?
Not surprised.
I'm not surprised.
The way we are going
like
right
states
now,
like
I'm
Texas
not
or certain ones, if you don't believe in like Christianity, no one's gonna vote for you, right? So,
well, the other candidate,
if you're not part of my team, then no team, right?
Oh, John Kennedy had that issue when he was running because he was Catholic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we're talking the wisdom of business and success is don't cut people up into pieces.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I mean? It's
I don't know. It's funny. I love that song from Bo Burnham, from the perspective of God. And I know sometimes it like offends people, but I think everybody should listen to it. You can find it on YouTube, but it's mind. Yeah, it opens up your mind because it's one of those things that makes you realize how much of this experience is kind of like anti-God, right?
Right.
Like in so many ways, we become so self-obsessed with ourselves. And this is what that pastor said. God did not fucking invent politics. We did.
Yeah.
Right? And the chaos and the pain that comes from it is ours.
And people.
And yet we want to pull religion and spirituality into that mess. It's very
I love the part,
idiotic.
Matt, that you sent me when you sent me and I watched it. And I'm like, I just love listening. The way of learning is to allow everything in and then sort of take whatever your perception, your paradigm, your beliefs, your everything, and but don't stop it from coming in. And I love when he said, don't you find it interesting that this book says love God and love yourself like you love your neighbor. And this document says, we the people, we the people,
Right.
we the people. And it's like, why is we the people a bunch of different groups that are fighting against each other? It's like,
Right.
so we said, people created this document and it's we the people. And this one over here is saying, love yourself and love your neighbor. And this
Yeah.
one's saying, yeah, but we the people don't believe like these other people.
Yeah. I
And
just
if you
think
don't believe like I believe, then whoa, step
yeah, just love
away.
each other and support each other. Like I think the separation of all of those things used to be more of a common thing because it was like, well, why would a man or woman's religion have anything to do with how they govern, right? Because they're governing
Right.
people, not God or spirituality. That's not their job, nor is that their responsibility, right? Like spirituality is a personal thing, and if you want to take it to a religious aspect, you're basically surrounding yourself, especially if you're in a healthy church, you're surrounding yourself with what we were just talking about, a community of people that allow you to cry, allow to be yourself. This is a place that
Great
you can
point.
get massive amounts of support. I'm never going to be against that. I think that those aspects of it are beautiful, and any of them,
Right.
any religion. But the aspects where it's like a anti a group of people, or you need to believe this, or I'm
Us
only
against
going
the
to
rest of
Highway
the
or
support
the
world.
this.
highway.
Like imagine voting for somebody that was against your best interest as a person simply because they're the same religion or they say they're the same religion as you.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
like,
this is the tribalism that we're at right
yeah,
now
that's
when you think
difficult
about it, because you've
because
got your reds and your blues,
Well, I think
and
that's
God
why
forbid you be purple.
business suffers this way because people say that I'm not going to patronize or participate in your company unless you go against these companies.
Oh, all the
So,
time.
so when I heard about all the people that are protesting right now that are pro Hamas, there is even a girl saying we are Hamas, and this other group of people need to be taking off the planet, talking about the
it's getting
Jews.
heated out there.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
this is what they were saying, that group of people want the college, the university that they're involved in, to stop doing business with other parts of countries that support Jews. And I'm
Mhm.
going, the
It's a lot.
university's in America. It's like I'm
Yeah.
trying to get how a university that's in America can be anti-Jew. It's
And then
like
they're on Facebook typing
I'm
this
like
out, owned by
going,
Mark
what is
Zuckerberg,
going
and they're like,
on?
ah, I can't believe.
The George Soros conspiracies and things like
That's the thing
that.
that always is funny to me, right? Is like everybody's like in these groups that they want to be in because they want to be in something, right? And I think through times like we've talked about this wheel of time that keeps spinning, and we're in that position where the people are so distant from a world war that they're ready for war, and that the people that are from your guys' generation have saw the reflections of war in their parents and their grandparents, and so you know what that looks like, you know what that trauma of war looks like. And even if you weren't in it, some baby
Right.
boomers were with Vietnam, but
Right.
you see those aspects. And then my generation, of course, had the war on terror, right?
The
So
shock and awe.
right, and that aspect, the shock and awe from the 1990s and stuff like that. So
Crazy.
we had these wars that we were pushed into. It wasn't a world war, but we saw the pain of it. And I think because now we have all these wars starting up, we have like a large amount of younger people, because I'm not in the drafting age anymore, but
Right.
we have a large amount of young people that are like ready to go to war. And I'm
Yeah.
like, do you not see the videos like of the wars that are currently going on? Are you kidding me? That's
These are
like the worst.
these are the deniers that are out there that don't
Well,
believe
that's the
what's
aspect.
happened in the past.
It goes back to
Yeah.
the same stuff that worked. You know, if that song worked the first time, just play it again. So we'll just play the
Yeah.
same song of a group of people being bad, and they're the reason that the world's bad, and so therefore they need to not exist anymore. And you just get militant people to come up and go, I remember it was the border, and now it's something else, and then next week it'll be something else, and then the week after that it'll
Right.
be something else. So I don't know.
Well, anyway,
It's just one of those things.
I think all of us agree that you know, I'm so excited about AI
Me
because
too.
I believe that, you know, it was obvious for those of you that are not connected with it yet. You still don't understand that Chat GPT broke a record to 100 million page users in like less than 60 days. It's like there's always a group of people that are looking for the future to hopefully make things better for them and their family and the rest of the existence of the world. And I just know that when a large group of people are around and AI starts saying this is the way that you stop war, this is the way that you stop people from being in poverty, this is how you stop people. Recently, Terry and I watched a thing on 60 Minutes, and boy, this ain't going to get any news. But there's a person that figured out how to solve homelessness in Houston. But we don't need to talk about that. It's like, let's not talk about an individual that was finally smart enough to figure out. So they interviewed him. So that's what I love about 60 Minutes. There's some programs still out there that are doing things where, you know, the FBI, I guess, just lost another lawsuit, you know, because of not only what they did, because they wouldn't investigate that guy that was, you know, sexually taking advantage of all these gymnasts. I
Oh
never ever
yeah.
thought there was a time, Craig, you and I can talk about this, that you just couldn't sue the government and win.
Hmm.
And that's not the time we live in anymore.
No.
So when people start holding people accountable for doing stuff and just throwing stuff aside saying this is not our problem, you know what I mean? Is things are going to change. So I'm optimistic that there's people out there that are going, it's got to be better than this.
Well, I feel like
And
the young
I,
people are starting to dig up all the skeletons. And when they
yeah,
start digging up all the skeletons, it becomes easier to get everyone on board with taking these people out. Like,
right.
just because you can see, and it's interesting because you can see certain aspects of it. And of course, this is generational. And you can see this in generations, what
Yeah.
they've been raised to see as okay and not okay. Right.
Exactly.
Like,
Mad Men versus what's today. I mean, if
exactly. Yeah.
you
The way
Yeah.
go
women
back
were
and watch
treated in
that
the
Mad Men
workplace, or
show,
the
and
way that,
yeah, and you know, it's like women were here, men are here. That's it. That's done. And that's not,
Crazy.
yeah.
that's still
And
large amounts of the world are that way.
oh,
And
they
people
are.
forget that too. It's like in the United States, we're in a place of constant change, especially now. It seems like every 4 years we get new change,
Mhm.
because new
Wow.
administration comes in and
Somebody,
says, "Hey,
someone was thinking about that. It's like
yeah,
if we had term limits
we could have had a king,
on
but we chose against that." So
yeah, it's if there
I don't
was
want one.
term limits and age limits on people in
But see,
politics,
back then we didn't
we
even
would see
realize
rapid
that
change as
we
well.
would need something like that to
You didn't
control
have
the
the
people.
longevity of human beings at the time as you do
Exactly.
now.
Yeah.
So we had no studies on how the human mind works as it gets to 80, 90, as
And
far
we
as
didn't even
life.
think
And
about the fact that, okay, we have a Supreme Court now that, oh my God, it's political. It's not down the middle like it should. I mean, that's the way it
Crazy.
should be. But you have this, everybody's talking about the 6-3 bend, you know, and the courts should be, if we are a nation of laws, then that is what we should be following,
Right.
regardless of how you believe.
Now it's
But now
feeling.
now it's, yeah, exactly. It's
Now
gotten to
it's
that point.
emotions. It's not rule of law. Is this doesn't make me feel good.
And therefore, I'm going to do the opposite of what it is, regardless. And again, it goes also back to, in a sense, the religion part of it, because now we're bringing religion into politics, into the way that we govern here in the United States, when it's supposed to be rule of law, meaning everybody has freedom of speech up to a certain point. Yes, you don't yell fire in a crowded theater. That kind of makes sense. But I mean, and you do things that, if you do things that are considered personal and that don't infringe on others, what's wrong with that?
Right.
yeah, I think
That's
I'm one of those
okay.
crazy people that goes, I think we should legalize drugs and put all the money that we're putting into the prisons into rehabilitation. I think
Oh
Right.
that's
yeah.
worked outside of the United States, and I think it would work great here for the
That's why you have a
opiate
lot of states
epidemic and
now
all
that
these
are
things
actually
going on.
building their coffers back up because they are licensing, what are they,
Yeah.
pot shops or,
Yeah,
something like
there's
that. The point being is that they're thinking ahead of things that are to come, and that there's a hidden wisdom right there, is the awareness, as like, okay, this may have worked in the past, but it doesn't work now.
Yeah, like
And
right.
let's
how
change the
can
laws if they're not working for everybody that's part of the system and paying for it. Why
and that
would
includes
Yeah.
things like the Constitution, which was back in the
like
1770s.
the older generation needs social security, a large amount of them, and
Mhm.
yet that's always put on the back of the younger generation to pay for. Imagine if the younger generation just said, "I'm not doing that anymore." What would happen,
Oh, it
right?
would
But
be crazy,
but
yeah.
people don't realize that the average Social Security check, what people right now are
Oh yeah, they're
proposing,
screwing people there too.
what people are proposing, a average income, what is it? What do
The
you call it?
universal income?
Universal
Universal
basic
income.
income,
What people are
UBI for short.
proposing,
Yeah.
what people are proposing the universal income to be is right now more money than people make on Social Security.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
So your grandma, makes $2,200 on Social Security.
Yeah.
What what if she what if she didn't own her home?
Right.
She's screwed.
Yeah.
Imagine
If
having to
she
go into a nursing home.
if she
How much
if
those
she if
cost?
she had to pay if she had to pay, because I know her personal finances because we help her out every once in a while. But when you watch somebody that's worked their whole life and they're living on Social Security, and then all of a sudden they can't hear and they need hearing aids, and that's not you can't we're not
It's
going to
not
get you hearing
possible.
aids. It's
Mm-hmm.
like you got to pay for that. So it's like, so we helped her out. And it's like when you think about that, it's just like, man, it's like that's just not the
Yeah, I think we
system.
should be taking care of people like my grandma. I think there's, like I said this to mom the other day because I was on the phone and it was her birthday, so me and Hannah were on joking with her. But there was this clip, and you guys can find it. And this stuff I know is infuriating. I think we should probably get off the topic to finish it somewhere else from politics because you just keep going.
Right.
Yeah.
But this guy, and I'll find the clip. He held up like this bag of bolts, and he said, "I got this from the hardware store, and it was like $89 for all the bolts." And then he held up another one, and this was in Congress, another one that looked almost identical. And he said, "This is the one that's sold to our military, and this one, they charge us 10 grand per bag for these." So that goes back to like the whole thing of like, okay, you can go to the hardware store and get it for $80, but where's your tax dollars going? To a bag that's $80 that costs 10 grand, to
Mhm.
pills that cost $500 instead of 10 like they do everywhere else.
Yeah.
Who's this? And I think the younger generation too is seeing this shit and going like, why wouldn't we do anything about this? This is broken for pretty much everybody,
Not
yeah.
not
right?
only that,
So
but why didn't the generations before them say that's not right? Because it's not that we didn't know about it, because Craig and I are pretty,
well,
over
it happened
60.
slowly. It didn't happen quickly, you
No,
know?
but it's always been the whistleblower for Craig and I when we found out when we were your age or maybe younger that the government's paying $10,000 for a toilet seat,
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
right.
I
five
remember when
thousand
that came
dollars
out.
for $5,000 for a hammer. Craig, do you
Yeah.
remember
Oh,
this?
I remember when that came out. It was just like, what? And you
Yeah,
could go to the hardware store for a hammer and get it for $1.50. Or
yeah,
Yeah,
well, at the time.
they've basically figured out how to rob everybody in plain sight and nobody cares.
yeah, and
Well,
So,
exactly.
so now I think everyone, I don't know if everyone really was paying attention enough, because I think that, to be brutally honest, is that, for me, when things in life are going okay, I got to be brutally honest that I'm really not paying attention to what's really going on. It's sort of like a human thing that you
Mhm.
get really focused on doing things for other people and helping out kids that can't help themselves out. And my focus is on that. Of course, if people want to know how I did it, I could tell them. That's where the wisdom comes from. But when all of a sudden I said this, and when I said this, I can't believe it happened as fast as it did. And so when we heard about TikTok being banned, in Congress, I said immediately, they're going to put because Senate won't do it. The Senate will not ban. Well, it's too pro business and it's Republican ran. So there is absolutely no way that they're just going to postpone this till after election. And I even said this to Corky, they're not going to do it. And then I went, wait a minute. Wait a
You
minute. You
forgot.
know what they're going to do? I know what they're going to do. I've seen this move before. They're going to attach it to a bill that the Senate can't reject.
Right. It would be bad to. Right.
And
Mhm.
so, are you going to give money to Ukraine before they're dead and Putin takes over? And are you going to support Israel so they can continue to make themselves safe? And by the way, when you give this $95 billion to these things, you're banning TikTok. We just threw that in there. And I'm just going, when I said that, I went, this is how they're going to do it. And I think I brought it up on one of the videos. And the
Mhm.
next thing we know, oh, Congress passed this bill. It's going to the Senate. Will Senate actually approve money going to people that need it?
Yes.
Oh, by the
Ukraine
way,
especially.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, the TikTok bill's in there too. And I just went, damn it, man. Damn it. It's like, it is sort of sad that you're
Like what
around
what does the
long enough.
social media have to do with wars? Nothing. But
But
it's
The fact that they
skewed
can
that
get it
way.
as a writer in there, and then
yeah,
that kills it
but
right there.
we've always heard about the pork inside of all these bills,
There you go.
and these bills. It's like, hey, we want to see whether or not we should give people on Social Security a 2% raise. And they go, wow, that's pretty simple. Why wouldn't we say yes on taking care of veterans and people on Social Security? And then you hear a guy say, yeah, I'm just passing it. I didn't read the bill because it was 478 pages long.
Right.
Wait a minute. You just said a sentence.
And
Let's
the
give
person
veterans and old people a raise.
they didn't even write it.
That's a
Yeah.
sentence.
Yeah.
GPT is now the writer of those bills, which eventually it will be all the bills. So
All right. So, like you said, Matt, I think that we could get off the
yeah,
subject
yeah.
by very simply this. I've been waiting to say this whole podcast. Nothing's hidden. Nothing's hidden. The the amount of chaos that I see happening in the world is just because people don't know that they don't know. And one of the things that we consistently tell ourselves as one of the biggest lies, yes, I did a video, is everyone lying? I think that you should do it, watch it, because we do lie to ourselves. And what we do is we believe, because someone said it, maybe in a conspiracy theory, but one of the biggest things that's always upset people is they always believe that the people that have know stuff that the people that don't have. And if we can constantly lie to people and tell them that the people that have joy in their life, love in their life, connection in their life, they're making an impact in the world, they're giving to charity. See, the world lies to them and says that these people have secrets that they won't share with the public. What if that was a lie? Because right now I say, there's a podcast for that. There's a video for that. There's an app for that. Your willingness to say that someone's hiding something that you think is stopping your happiness, your health, your joy, your relationship, when we have AI out there now that's actually putting everything in one place. God forbid that you would have to put a couple of words in Google or YouTube to find the answer. But now AI is taking all that information and gives you a little outline. So a lot of the videos that I do, it's like, what does it take? Me and Matt, I brought this up on other videos, but I think you guys would need to do this. I'm promoting AI like crazy. Is like, the things that you would never ask anybody. Like, I'm having some really awful thoughts. I'm lonely. I'm depressed. I don't give a shit what you guys say on this podcast or your other videos. I can prove to you in my story that I don't have a chance. There's no way that I can change things. And the thing that I loved about AI the most, and I know that people will be freaked out when they hear this, but I guarantee you the same questions I've been asking AI is the same questions that you should be asking AI. It's like, what is the meaning of life? What is really true love? Where does it come from? How do you get it? How can I stop feeling depressed? How can I feel like I'm tired of feeling nothing? I'm tired of feeling nothing. I don't even know how to feel. I don't know why people do things and it triggers me and I want to kill them. And I don't even know why that emotion came out. Be honest with you, I'm pissed off, but I don't even know why I'm pissed off. And I really wouldn't do anything about it anyway. But I sure don't like feeling this way. And now we hear these things about stress. And I knew this years ago. Stress, an hour of stress a day, just focused, intense, being in an overthinking, overwhelmed thought period is the same as smoking 15 cigarettes. I can guarantee you that people watch this video are spending more than 1 hour being stressed. Some people got this down to a 24-hour deal and they don't know how to get out of it. And me and mom are watching this thing today where they're now saying that that's the epidemic. The epidemic in the world right now is mindfulness, is that people's mental health is the worst that it's ever been. And guess what? They hang around other people that have mental health issues. So right now, they're telling moms that being a mom, that you can definitely be burnt out from being a parent and a mom. So how do you stop from being burnt out? You use edibles. You drink a lot of wine. You make sure your kids are in everything so you can spend less time around them. Let other people raise your kids. We got to focus on mental health. We got to focus on the concept. And so the things that you might be scared to say to somebody else, you can ask AI. And I can't tell you how much my life has changed since Matt introduced me to AI. Because I read up things like, you know, what is God? Well, I just need you to know there's infinity names of God based on how you were raised, your environment, who you are, the way you believed, the way you interacted, the culture that you're in, the language that you used. What do you mean there are thousands of names for God? Yeah, because people do that shit. They make up names for shit. And God isn't shit. But then all of a sudden you go, well, what do all of them say? The entity is love. And without love, you have nothing. Wow. That's a different message. So the thing that you don't understand is love. And love is that entity that we can't explain with words. So Google's been out for a while. YouTube's been out for a while. And now AI is out. And I think that maybe you should start really questioning the words you use, what your description is, what's the world's description of that word. And you need to learn how to communicate with yourself because things are not as ugly as you think they are. Things are not as bad as you think they are. The world isn't as evil as you think they are. People are not as bad as you think they are. So just what if you could get different definitions of this stuff? And then me and Matt goofing around on AI. As soon as he showed it to me, he's showing it to me. I'm not using it yet. And the very first thing that I say to my son, how's the fastest way to make $1 million? And it said, create an illegal pyramid. And I just went, damn, what if it was legal? So if the fastest way is a legal pyramid, what if you could find a way to create a legal pyramid? What a concept. Is that real? Is that possible? Are there a bunch of people out there that's saying helping other people get what they want, you get what you want? See, I really believe that as AI continues to come up with stuff, that it'll come back to the same wisdom as we always knew. And I'll leave you with this one. When someone told me J. Paul Getty, which for those of you that have never been in LA or California, you know, you're driving down the 405 freeway, which is one of the busiest freeways in the world. And all of a sudden you see J. Paul Getty Drive. And up on a hill is a multi-billion-dollar Getty Museum. And to think that that thing was created 70 years after he died, that the guy was already smart enough to know how to make money, how to make a lot of money, but also where to put money to take care of generations after he's gone. Wow, these people might have some wisdoms about success in business. And so here's the 3 things he said. Being successful is the easiest thing you'll ever do. You know why? Because nobody else is trying. Nobody else is trying. So when we see someone that comes up with Shark Tank, and it's like, listen, I created a better sponge, and I'm going to call it Sponge Daddy. And then you find out he made $1 billion, and people are like, what the hell is going on? I could have figured out how to create another sponge, right? And so J. Paul Getty said it's easy. Find a need and fill it. Find a need and fill it. Just find out what everyone's bitching and complaining about and come up with something that makes their life a little easier, a little funner, a little more feeling. You know, someone figured out a VHS tape, then someone decided to put it on a CD, then someone put it on a DVD, then they put them in boxes in stores, and then someone put them online. Never in my life did I think that you could see a bunch of people on a bullet train moving 212 miles an hour. Of course, it's not in the United States, while they're all watching their favorite podcast or show on their Wi-Fi device that's in their hand. What the hell? That happened just like that. So find a need and fill it. What's the other one that he said? Just like Albert Einstein, compounding. You got to find a way to help other people get what they want. So what did J. Paul Getty franchise? Gas stations. He said the world's easy. Find a product that everyone needs, that everybody wants, and they continue to keep paying for it. Why did he say want and need? Because that's important. There's a lot of things that people need, but they're not going to buy it. And there's a lot of people that want things, but they don't need it. You need gasoline, especially in LA, right? Someone figured out through lobbying, like we're talking about with politics, how to make sure that LA, one of the biggest cities on the planet, didn't have public transportation. It was the 3 automakers. Wow. No one told you that one, did they? And so, wow, what if we could create a big city and no one can get around? They have to have a car. So that's why we have 13-lane freeways in LA. All right. But
and all of them are congested.
Yeah. So to think that someone shared that wisdom with me, which again is not hidden, because all the things that I said you can find on Google and YouTube. What are the best quotes of J. Paul Getty? What are the greatest quotes from Roosevelt? Right? What are the greatest, you know? And so there was only one other quote that he came out with. And another person gets a credit for this same quote. Is I'd rather get 1% off 100 people's efforts than do 100% of my own. So when all of a sudden he had franchises for Getty oil and gas, and he had franchises all over the world that had, he was the first guy, believe it or not, you guys, that came up with the ideas of allowing somebody else to run their own gas station. Frickin' brilliant. What if I actually put everything together for a person and they could buy the franchise from me and run the gas station, and I'll just get a percentage off every one of these gas stations? I think it was Marathon Oil. That might have been, I'm wrong on that one. That was Fisher Family. But the point that I'm bringing up, and I'm glad that my mind did that. The stories that I tell you and the wisdom that I share with you is not hidden. It was given to me by somebody else that found it, which is wisdom that's already all out there. Damn it. What a concept. Fight a need and fill it. Make sure everyone needs, wants, and buys it constantly, like Netflix. I don't know if that's a want or a need, but I think people would say that it is. Then find a way for people to share in the wealth. Share in the wealth. That's what franchise models are. That's what affiliate models are. That's what subscriber models are. So in closing, I believe that we're living in the best times that there ever has been. And when you can go from the world ending, we're going into the war, we're all dying, to, oh my God, my future is freaking amazing. I'm down. I reach out to my digital evolution species and ask it questions that I might feel embarrassed saying even to a therapist. So you guys got the last word.
I think that was the last word. I don't got a last word.
Nope, that's it. Done. Thank you, Robert.
I agree.
Thank you, Matt. You can follow Robert Hollis at roberthollis.com. Also, if you'd like to join our exclusive community communities that Robert and Matt and I have mentioned throughout this podcast, the Inner Circle and Imaginators, you can go to roberthollis.com/join to register. There are lots of great exclusive content, and you'll be able to participate in our special sessions to help you move forward to the next level. Please don't forget to like and share this video on YouTube and with others, and it will help us grow our community and help to reach those with ears to hear. Shout out to our executive producer, Matt Hollis, visionary. Thank you so very much for being our foundation. And of course, Robert, bless you, my friend. Thank you for also being our GPS to success and our guide. And thank you for joining us today. This is Craig A. Jackman saying thank you so much for joining us here on Unlimited Wisdom. Please be good to yourself, be cash, and until next time, bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you guys so much. Great podcast. Everybody.